Okay.
Okay, so you want me to start? Taanilinn is going to go into cognac barrels for a good few months, most of the year to be honest. But before that, we want to make sure these barrels are in tip-top condition. We get them fresh from a cognac producer in France, but we still want to make sure that they're as clean as possible on the inside, because cognac is a distilled liquid. It's pretty high alcohol, whereas a beer, even a beer like Taanilinn, is still quite low ABV. So what we do is we always steam every barrel when it gets to us, just before we fill it. It minimizes any bacteria that are living inside the wood, and it'll also rehydrate the barrels, just to make sure that there's as few leaks or areas for oxygen to creep in as possible. So that's why we do that. So at the moment we're just finishing emptying up this barrel here. We're going to do this for the rest of these barrels, because what's happening next, later on today actually, is we're filling them up again with our Imperial Baltic Porter. And that's then going to become XO. So as you can kind of see from some of the drips and some of the wax spots on there, these barrels have had a little bit of leaking happening through the top. You always get kind of fine, tiny micro leaks, but you want to try and patch them up as you're doing it, just to make sure that you can push the beer out with CO2 and you're not pulling oxygen inside. So what we're doing now is we're refilling the Taanilinn barrels with That's going to become XO after resting for several months in these barrels. And we're hoping that the vinous and sort of red fruit characters in the are going to be complemented really nicely by the cognac barrels. That's always worked for us in the past. We play with what's already there and just dial it up.
Is that normal?
Yeah. That's desired, even. Skipping ahead 7 months later, now Taanilinn is out of those barrels. We've refilled them with to make an XO, which is always a blend of different vintages of and different vintages of cognac barrels. And now we got to bottle and wax the Taanilinn. Waxing is what Tom's up to right over here. That's Tom. And the waxing serves a very important purpose for us. Basically, we spend so long getting this beer as high quality as we can, then we want to make sure that it stays that way when it gets into people's hands. So just adding this little wax seal on the top of it is minimizing the amount of oxygen that can enter into the beer. And for this beer, every single dip of wax has got a few dustings of glitter for that extra party in your mouth effect.
All right, Chris.
Company motto.
Tell me again what you're doing.
I'm taking a lap start over.